When we arrived at the door, my thoughts took me directly to hymn number 121, There is One Open Gate. I saw a large and beautiful gate with two sides. It was so huge that I could not see its beginning or its end. This gate was made of precious stones, which were constantly changing colors. Others do not exist in the earth. So when we approached the gate, it opened a little. Inside the door on the side there was a man sitting on a chair. He was not an ordinary person. He was white and shining. He was also wearing a white dress down to his feet, a very shiny dress. His hair was tied back with a red hairpin. His eyes were beautiful. He seemed to be a gentle person, very compassionate and loving. His face showing a beautiful smile. The chair he was sitting on was beautiful, and it was also changing the same color as the gate I saw. The chair had small tires under it, showing that it could be moved. He wore a long dress covering front of the chair, but when I looked back, I could see the small tires on the chair. As we were moving, he smiled. I couldn't bear his smile. It makes me laugh, so happy that I forget where I was. So when we approached his chair, he began to speak to the angels in a language that I did not understand. He talked to them for a long time, and while they were talking, I kept looking at the buildings of that city. The buildings were tall. If you look at this building, it is gold from the bottom to the top. If you look at that building, it is another precious jewel from the bottom to the top. I did not see a building built by wood, blocks or cement. Any building you find is a precious jewel that has been lifted. The buildings were very beautiful beyond normal. There was no sun, and I did not see rain. There was no extreme heat or extreme cold. There was awesome good weather. The buildings of that city were so bright, and its walls were shining and reflected light like a mirror. After finishing talking with angels, he waved his hand as a gesture greeting to us. Then he got up and took a step at such a fast speed that I found myself also walking, and he opened another big gate for us. But the inner gate was not as big as the outer one, because its beginning and its end can be seen. But all the gates of that city were very beautiful and adorned with precious stones that shone and changed their colors. Then when he opened another gate, he returned to his seat where we met him. At the new open gate, the first angel entered the door. The second angel entered and I followed. When I looked at what was inside, I was stunned. I saw how much God loves us, and I realized how God honored his people. Inside that building there was a large hall. Its width and length were equal. The hall was very high. Its floor was made of minerals that were brighter than glass. Its walls shone beyond even the mirrors of the world. The floor, walls, and roof were all shining like no other in the world. Inside the building we entered, I saw no one, but there were many seats arranged in 3 rows. That is a group of many chairs in the first row, a group of many chairs in the second row, then a group of many chairs in the third row. Those chairs were also changing all kinds of colors. They also had tires. Behind all chairs there was only a single letter written, the name, such as A, B, C, and so on. Each seat had its own letter, and those letters were written in a color that looked like raw blood that had not dried. The place also smelled of a very good perfume. In continuing to examine the seats, I realized that inside that area there was a very good light without any light source. So I asked the angels, I don't see any lamp, what make inside this hall to shine so much? They answered me,
The lamp of this city is the lamb you found at the gate.
When I was there, the angels walked me to see those chairs. I believe that if we had walked at the same slow pace that we walk on earth, I would probably still be walking in the area that was full of chairs. We went and returned. We went again and returned, feel like we take few moments. It seemed like I had not even finished seconds. After inspecting those seats, I asked the angels, why is this hall so big? It is made to such a high standard. Why is it prepared like this? The angel answered me,
Nyisaki, this place has been prepared and continues to be prepared. It has not reached the level it should be here. It is the place where the raptured saints on earth will join the saints here on heaven for the feast of the Lamb, and still at this moment, it has not yet reached the level of praise intended.
Within my imagination, there was no improvement I would add. I asked Angel to let me try to sit in one of those chairs. They told me I shall sit on them if I shall overcome the things of earth. Then we went out to another area, and he opened another beautiful gate. We moved forward and arrived at the Heaven Garden. The garden was very large, and it was also very beautiful. Heaven Garden is not like gardens on earth. Its grasses were of the same height as if a person has slashed them all the time. There was neither dirt nor dry dead leaves in the garden. In the middle of the garden there were cross paths, which are made of pure gold. And we walked on them while we explored the garden. The weather was very good. Then at the edge of the garden, I saw flowers that were taller than me, but they also of the same height, and they had bloomed very beautiful flowers. I feel no wind in that area. I saw those flowers as they seemed to dance and worship. They were bending to the left all together, bending to the right, and they do so together. When they rise, they give off an extraordinary fragrant smell, which spreads throughout the city. Then they repeat their dancing, moving, and worshipping God together. At the edge of those flowers, I saw like they were surrounded by mirrors, as being impressed by the unique beauty of flowers. I asked the angel to let me pick one flower so that I may show it to fellow brethren on earth. Then the angel said to me,
Heaven flowers are not picked.
I continued by asking, the garden was created in such a peculiar, beautiful way, but I don't see anyone in this area, so what is the purpose of it? Angel replied to me that this garden was made for the glory of God, and then he told me to follow them to another place. So I followed them and we went to another area. Then one of them opened another gate. As he was opening the gate, I began to hear voices, very beautiful voices of the saints. As we entered, I found many saints, as many as billions in numbers, praising God in a beautiful voice. I was wondered with the teenage mind. Why is God bothering to look for humans when he has so many of them already? These people were human beings like us who lived on earth, but they preceded us there. On earth they were living according to God's wishes in the way of holiness. Those saints I saw were very similar in everything. They looked like ideal, perfect, identical twins. Their faces were similar alike. Their hair was long and tied with a red hairpin. They were neither fat nor thin, neither too tall nor short. They were all at the same height. There was no African color, no white, Indian or Chinese. They all had the same very attractive color. They had a very beautiful appearance. They were all dressed in long white dresses that shone brightly as if surpassing the sun. They were wearing red belts around their waists, and the only difference I managed to notice. Some of them were wearing 2 belts around their waists and others 1 belt. So I asked angels, what is the difference between those wearing 1 belt and those wearing 2 belts? Because I don't see any further difference in their faces or their body. Angel answered me,
There is no difference in their looks. Those who wore 1 belt when they were on earth were men, and those who wore 2 belts when they were on earth were women, but here they are all brides.
Saints were singing unusually beautiful songs. Their singing styles made me happy. They all waved their hands together. They all bowed together praising God. They all prostrated together, and none of them made any flaw. The more I watched them, the more I wanted to join them so that I could sing and praise God as they did. But it was not possible because I did not even know the language of the song. While I was standing there watching saints sing, after a while, a saint came to me from the midst of saints. I could tell she was a girl because she wore 2 red belts. I was surprised to see her because I finally recognized her by her face of earth after being revealed to me. By the way, she was my sister-in-law. My sister married his brother while she was on earth. He was a devoted Christian, an ordinal level Form 3 student at Mbeya Day Secondary School. She died in April 1987 in a car accident. When she reached me, she smiled and said,
Nyisaki, you have come here.
I answered yes, and then we spoke to each other in our native tribe language of Kinga. She said,
How are you doing there on Earth?
I answered, Earth is full of problems. Then she said,
Yes, really problems. Look at us, we have been clothed with new bodies that cannot be ruined. The body that cannot suffer from hunger, sickness, trouble, thirst, or pain.
She complimented her new body a lot and all she spoke was true. Then she said,
We have left our old bodies there.
Then I turned to see where she was pointing me. Then I saw the whole town of Isle Mbeya, Tanzania, like a person looking at a display in the palm of her hand. We looked at the market. I saw businesses going on as usual. Cars and bicycles continued to pass each other through roads as usual. And then we looked at the graveyard. I saw the graves of many people. I saw crosses that were placed over them, and I could even read the names written at the plaques of the graves. From there I knew that the dead body inside the grave belonged to a person kept in heaven or hell. Her grave was decorated with many flowers by her fellow students during her burial. Then she told me again.
Turn around, have you seen that?
After turning around I said yes, because I saw the shape of a human lying on his back, but that human's skin was very ugly. I didn't like what I saw, so I answered while looking away, and then she said,
That is the body you have left on Earth.
So after I realized that she was the one showing me and now how awesome she is, I felt badly like being mocked, so I started crying. Then she said,
Don't cry. That is the body that causes humans to separate from the face of God. It is a body full of temptations. It is dust and it will return to dust, but this body you have right now is the body to meet the throne of God's judgment.
I didn't like to look at myself from there. My earth body appeared very dirty with reptilic-like skin. She told me to look again, but I refused. She pressed me the second time and I refused. The third time I looked and saw someone was plowing and planting seeds. I did not recognize at first who was that person. So she said to me,
That is your mother. We have her consciousness here. She will regain consciousness when you return.
The vision of that day was long, from 9 a.m. until 6 p.m. When I was taken in a vision, my mother carried my body and put it in the tree's shadow, which made me even more convinced that her consciousness must have been taken away. My mother finished the rest of our field, and she continued to farm to the neighbor's field. While I was still in the vision, the sister continued and said,
Nyisaki, please now I am asking you when you return to Earth. Tell my father, mother, and brothers not to sin again. In this city, there is no sadness, but I see them continuing doing sins and I feel very sorry for them.
The angel told me,
Do not go and tell them on earth. There are pastors, evangelists, and born-again Christians who preach the gospel. If they do not listen to them, they will be all sent to the lake of fire.
She then returned to the crowd of the sons and daughters of God and continued to sing. Then the second saint came wearing a single red belt when his earth face was revealed, and I finally recognized him. I remembered that he was living there in Isle. He was a too old man with many grey hairs. His spine was bent because of his old age. He was despised by many in Isle because of his deformity and devotion in reading the Bible. He usually sings the hymn of praise during rest sessions of farm work. If you found him at his home or other places, Maytimes, you would find him reading the Bible, singing hymns and praying. He was a very humble person, and some people thought he was crazy. I was surprised to see him there with a body like 20 years older young man. His hair was long and tied with a red hairpin. He was very attractive. And he said to me,
Chaula, you have come here.
I said, Yes, Father. He asked me,
How are you doing there on Earth?
I replied the same, full of problems. Then he said,
Yes, it's problems. Look at us. We've got new bodies, perfect, disease-free.
He praised his new body a lot, and he then told me,
Tell our dear, the loved ones from the earth that everyone should strive to overcome it. Everyone should keep watch from being fooled by the devil because the time is up. For us, we have a great desire to see our loved ones.
Then he left me and mingled with his fellow saints. A third person came to me, and when he approached me, his earth face was revealed to me. He was one of pastors of the Tanzania Assemblies of God Church when he was on earth, and he was a middle-aged man. When he approached me, he said,
Chaula, you have come here.
I said, Yes, and he asked me,
How are the things on earth?
I answered, full of problems. Then he said,
Really problems, look at us. We are clothed with new bodies.
So he also expresses a lot of compliments to his new body, because they do not feel hunger. There is no humiliation, there is no fatigue. Their new bodies were set off from those weaknesses. He had changed, and he looked like a young man of 2020. After that, he left to join the vast multitude of saints that were singing. After I met those 3 saints, I asked the angels who were walking with me, Do these saints are learning to sing? Angel in his reply asked me,
Why did you say that?
I answered, They sing one song for a very long time. The angel answered me,
The songs we sing here are different from what you sing on earth. Because on earth, if you sing for 5 minutes, you say you have praised God a lot, and others think they will go to heaven just because of singing without being born again. One song is sung for 9 months, one verse 3 months, chorus 3 months, and the last verse 3 months.
So I was very surprised. Then angels told me,
Let's go to other places.
When we left that area, while on the way I was shown 3 big pianos. Those pianos were playing themselves, praising God with a beautiful chord. We passed different places until we reached another big gate, and the angel opened the gate and told me,
Right now, we are going to show you the saints who were at the beginning of the church, who agreed to die for the gospel, who agreed to be beaten and punished for the gospel. They live in secluded area.
He opened the gate, we entered it, and I was shown 16 saints, but I knew there were more. Those I saw there were also praising God, thanking him for allowing them to inherit eternal life. The first person to approach him was Bartholomew. He hugged me and held my hand. Angels acted as the interpreters between me and the saints of that area. I inquired to angels, Does he was the same Bartholomew that I heard about who was skinned alive because of the gospel? Angel answered me.
Yes, he is the one who was skinned because of the gospel.
And the second saint to show me was John the Baptist. I inquired does he was the one who was beheaded because of the gospel, and Angel answered.
Yes, he is him.
He hugged me and held my hand. The third person to show me was Elijah the Tishbite, who also hugged me and held my hand. The others he showed me were Paul, Peter, John, and others. Then Bartholomew said to me,
Beloved, tell the other loved ones in the world to keep moving forward because 1 second is not a long time.
When he told me those words, tears came from my eyes, and we left those saints continuing to praise God. Angels guided me and we went to another place. They took me to the place where dresses for the saints to be worn at the Feast of the Lamb were being prepared. In that place, I found many angels praising God with a lot of joy. There I saw a beautiful machine with the shape of a circle. Made with heaven technology, it had a belt that carried clothes. A lot of clothes went into the machine through that belt and came out shining very bright. It looked like clothes entered in the machine again, then when they come out, they become shining brightest than before and ironed as well. There were a lot of clothes in that place. I asked why so many clothes are made, who do they belong to? Because many people reject salvation. Angel answered.
You have to keep preaching the gospel. Whoever wants to be saved shall be saved, and whoever doesn't want to leave him be. What is needed is that when Jesus returns, there shall be no one to say, I didn't hear. God is just, so you have to keep preaching the gospel. When the day of judgment comes, they will be judged according to what they heard.
The angel continued to speak.
The clothes here are many, as you say. The saints you saw singing are dressed in temporary clothes. When the last day comes, when the trumpet is blown, those saints raptured from earth together with the saints here in heaven will all be dressed in these new dresses for joining together in Feast of the Lamb.
Then we left that place. New Jerusalem is full of praise. Everything done there was done while praising God with joy. Not angels, not humans, not flowers, not pianos. We went with those 2 angels to the first place where there were many seats with names written in fresh blood. Remember when we arrived the first time there was no one there, but this time we found an awesome man working very quickly. He was holding something like a small fabric in his hand, wiping the chairs, arranging them quickly. He was walking very fast like an advanced fast robot. His appearance and the way he was like the man who was sitting on the chair at the outer entrance big gate of heaven. So I asked angels, if that person the same person from the entrance gate or he is another one. Angel answered me.
He is the same person.
I asked again why he is in such a hurry. Angel answered me.
Remember, when he was leaving earth, he said, I am going to my Father to prepare a place for you so that when I am there you will be also.
That statement reminds me of the fact that it was King Jesus who died on the cross to save mankind, but I didn't get a chance to talk to him. Then Angel continued to speak.
He prepared this city himself. No one helped him. Also, he is in hurry because the time has come to take his people from earth.
Angels moved me from that place and took me outside. There at the inner side of the entrance gate as I was looking at the chair. This time seat was empty, there was no one in it. They walked me outside the gate for about 15 steps. Then the angel said to me,
Nyisaki, now we are going to show you the part of hell for people who knew the secrets of God and then kicked them out as if they were useless and died before they repented.